Sadashiva Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebihi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Vakshaviryajatraha Sirai Rangaihi Krustuvagam Svastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vruddhashravaha Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha Swastina Starsho Arishtanemihi Swastino Bruhaspatir Dadatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Okay. So we did our third verse in third question. So, Mohini ji, let me know.
Question on the explanation, the last paragraph, and in that the last line is ha, but above that Brahmana explains the following. Brahmana explains this and gives us an idea of the entire
Scheme of activity within.
What does Brahmana refer here to?
Definitely not Brahmin.
Yeah, not Brahman, not Brahma.
Brahma or not Brahman.
Yeah.
So Brahmana came into picture. I think at the initial this one, in the introduction I mentioned, Upanishads are of two types. One is called Mantropanishad, other is called Brahmanopanishad. Mantropanishads are very cryptic mantras, wherein, for example, Mundaka in this particular Veda is a Mantropanishad. So that is called Mantropanishad, is slightly higher status compared to a Brahmanopanishad. Brahmanopanishads take one of these Mantropanishads and try to explain them in a slightly easier terms for Sishyas to understand. So all 108 are actually kind of categorized as, some of them are Mantropanishads, many of them are Brahmanopanishads.
Both they all have mantras.
True. But it is called Brahmanopanishad. This is just to say that Mantropanishads are supposed to have been real Shruti, real things that are heard by Rishis, and Brahmanopanishads are explanations given by the Rishis in that way. But all of them are categorized as Shruti. All of them have equal status. The moment it is Upanishad, it is like that. But once you start learning more in terms of going into details of that, you learn from people, then this talk will come into picture that this is a Brahmanopanishad, slightly lower status. So Prashna is a Brahmanopanishad, and it actually explains Mantropanishad of Mundaka.
So here
as per tradition.
In our ordinary.
This says this Brahmana, this is Brahmanopanishad, and next, all these are Brahmanas. Each verse is called a Brahman. In a Brahmanopanishad, everything is Brahman. In Mantropanishad, everything is a mantra. Yeah, this is both technical term, and really speaking, it is verse. In English, it is same term we can use. Okay. So we are seeing rather query 3. Yeah. So query 3, when we are talking about question 3 that we are talking about, and we are in 3. Yeah. So verse 3, as I mentioned in my note, which I have sent across, is a very, very important verse in this particular one, because it gives a lot of technical aspects as far as Vedanta is concerned. Yeah. So for example, in Sankhya Yoga, it is a slightly dualistic philosophy. It's called, actually, it's not a Advaita philosophy, Sankhya. So it has got a Purusha and Prakriti. Both have got equal reality as far as the world is concerned, or creation is concerned. Whereas we say in Vedanta, a very important concept is that what is created doesn't have the same reality as the creator, so to say. When we talk about creator, it has got, again, there is an intelligent cause, there is a material cause, etc., etc. So the example what ShankarJi always gives is that snake is not as real as the rope. Snake is real because you are experiencing it. So you can't escape that. The fear is there. Everything is there associated with that. But as far as the actual reality is concerned, snake's reality is different from rope's reality. Now, this is what we call as Vivartavad. In Advaita Vedanta, the creation is called as Vivartavad. Normally, in our day-to-day experience, what we say is, including Sankhya, talk about Parinamavad. Means there is some cause that is there and something got created. Both are real in that sense. Parinama is, it says that the cause has transformed itself into the effect. Milk got transformed into curd. Milk has gone, curd has come. Okay, no longer milk is there. So that is what is Parinamavad. So if Purusha Prakriti is there, even if they accept that Prakriti came out of Purusha, it's as if the Purusha got transformed, at least partially, into Prakriti. So there is a reduction here, there is a addition here. Yeah? For example, a lump of gold, you created 100 ornaments out of it, half of the gold is gone, that half has become ornaments. So ornaments and gold lump both have got equal reality. There is nothing like a snake and rope kind of a thing, where snake is just an illusive reality associated. Illusion, again, if you go into magic and all, it's not there, we feel, but there is a slight difference in terms of that. What we say is it doesn't have a reality of its own. Is what the term that normally we use for this come out in this verse 3 in our explanation that we have seen. Why? Because the Shishya has asked us to how this prana is born. So till now, prana was told to be the best thing that has happened in this creation, but now we are going into the next stage. To say that prana got created, prana has got a lot of reality associated with you as a jiva. However, now with the question that has come, the teaching is transformed into something beyond our grasp of our senses and mind. We said it is over and above the normal examples of this. So Atma, for example, when we say, you cannot grasp it with our senses. You cannot touch it, you cannot smell it, you cannot see it. But at the same time, you are supposed to understand it.
Can I ask a question? I heard your recording. Thank you for sending that because I missed that class. So Purusha and Prakriti, the way I understood this is, and maybe this is a third variation. So Purusha doesn't do anything, but his power is Prakriti. Okay, that is what was explained a long time ago when I attended some lectures at Chitmaya Mission. So the Purusha, there's no material being taken from the Purusha. Like if you take Purusha becomes gold and you make ornaments, so that is Prakriti. But it is his power
The essence
that
is same.
just want to complete my thought. That transforms into Prakriti, and that is the manifested world that we experience, living, etc. So is that Dvait or it is Advait? Where does that fall?
Okay, because we are using terms of Sankhya, we are getting confused here.
Okay.
So Purusha and Prakriti are Sankhya terms.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that is not what we normally use. What we say is Brahman, and we talk about creation. Now, creation has got three entities, which we call it as Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat. So there are three aspects to this one entity. All three, Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat, all three of them are Mithya in nature. So Ishvara is Mithya, Jiva is Mithya, Jagat is Mithya. What is Mithya? Mithya is nothing but a individualization with a upadhi. what they call as, there is a upadhi, there is some kind of a sheath which is creating overall infinite reality, it appears limited. So we are not telling a Ishvara is created in that sense. Ishvara is manifested. Jiva is manifested. Jagat is manifested. Now all these three have got different upadhis in that sense, which make them appear different in experientially. Vyavaharika, they appear different. All three are mithya, and all three appear different because of the upadhi, what we call. Example, pot is there, space is there, infinite space. It appears limited when you create a pot. Pot space appear to be separate, and we measure also. It has got utility. If we say 5-liter pot, it has got different utility. 1-liter pot has got a different utility. So utility-wise, it may be different. Experientially, it may be different. Space remains the same, actually speaking. But because of the shape of the pot, we are creating something called a pot space. So this is upadhi. Pot becomes an upadhi, then the space appears limited because of this upadhi. Yeah. Again, don't get carried away with the examples of pot and all, because pot has got a real reality associated with it. Yeah. So we should be careful in terms of taking examples. These examples are only to give an idea of what the concept is.
So what I'm understanding is in Advaita, Brahman basically is or into these three, Ishwar,
Jiva and Jagat.
Jagat. But they are all mithya. That
they don't have a reality of its own.
okay.
Okay. So when we say they are mithya, they don't have a reality of their own. Like a gold, for example, a bangle is there. You say gold bangle. Bangle has got a shape. Bangle has got a utility associated vyaviharically. But if you really say define bangle, how do you say this is bangle? It is only name and form which is giving that. But really, if I say that, okay, give me gold. You want bangle, you keep bangle, give me the gold. There is nothing like bangle. Everything is really gold only. Thing is that it appears to be a bangle, but it doesn't have a reality of its own. The reality is the gold. Similarly, Brahman appears as these three entities, but really speaking, it doesn't have a reality of its own, becomes mithya. But is it not experiential? Bangle is experiential. Vyavaharically, it is experiential. So what we are telling is the infinite consciousness appears to be Ishvara with Maya as the Upadhi. I told you use the word Maya Upadhi. Yeah? So for Ishvara, Maya is the Upadhi, but Ishvara is all-knowing because he has got complete knowledge. Ishvara has got complete knowledge about Maya and complete knowledge of his true nature. That's what makes him Ishvara, the power wielder. So he becomes a Maya Pati. Okay. Now Jiva, we say, is actually his Jiva's Upadhi is Avidya. Maya and Avidya are more or less the same. Yeah. Same three gunas will be there, etc. But individually we say it is Avidya. Avidya is ignorance. For Jiva, Avidya is the Upadhi. Because of that, this one, I don't really know my true nature. Why Maya became Avidya is Ishvara is completely aware of his true nature. So he becomes Maya Pati. Whereas we are not Avidya Pati. We are the servants of the Avidya. We require to overcome this Avidya. So that is our problem. Yeah. If I am able to do that, I can go through this and say that Avidya is not good for me. I require to overcome that, and I have sadhana, I have gurus, etc. to take care of that, etc. When we do that, we become equivalent to Ishvara. Because then we become, like Ishvara is the Mayapati, we becomes Avidyapati. Once it is there, my true nature is known to me. I am no longer under the cloud of any ignorance. So that becomes this. Whereas Jagat is more like a inert by nature, and name and form is the Upadhi for name and form is the upadhi for Jagat. Everything is name and form, including our body. You got name and form. So we say female body, male body. Nowadays, a lot of other these ones are coming up, concepts. But generally, we have male and female bodies that we are talking about. So everything has got a name and form associated, but name and form are also sustained by the same, sustained by the same Brahman. So these three entities are there making up this entire universe. Three are defined by different upadhis.
More clarification. So between Brahman and Ishvara, what is the difference?
The difference is actually another example makes it easy. Yeah? You have one mirror on that wall here. I am the subject. Okay, I am not in front of the mirror. I am doing my job here. There is no reflection of myself or anything in the mirror right now. Okay. Now I go there and stand in front of the mirror. Is there any difference between me there and me here? Exactly the same. No, this one. But I am watching into that. Now, when I watch myself in the mirror, there is a reflection that gets created in the mirror. Now, vis-a-vis with respect to that particular creation of that reflection, I get a status of being a subject, and that becomes my object of reflection. But I know very well that I have nothing to do with that creation. I am very free to go anywhere I want. I am fully aware of my true nature. But what that reflection is thinking, it is thinking that this is the Ishvara. I am, even if it says I am Jiva, this is the Ishvara. So it's a relative status we are giving Brahman for us to understand. That is the reason many of the philosophies in India refuse to even accept there is a need for Ishvara. Why Buddhism says there is no Ishvara? It's only conceptually. But what Advaita says, Ishvara is a requirement because there is a creation. There is a reflection, there is a Maya of the mirror, there should be an object with the status. Agree that that particular person is completely aware of his status, but as long as there is a entity, there is always a requirement for Ishvara. I cannot get created unless this Brahman comes and stands in front of the mirror. Is Advaita's argument. Advaita argues that Brahman should come and stand in front of the mirror for me to get created inside. So that is what is the general difference between different philosophies. So Ishvara and Brahman difference is only that Brahman appears to be getting reflected in these reflection mediums, which we call it as Maya.
Can I say something? I think Jayaji said once that Ishvara is Brahman plus
Maya.
Maya. And he knows he can get rid of the Maya easily. I think that's the big difference in my opinion.
Not get rid of Maya per se.
For himself, not for the whole.
He is fully confident, as I'm telling.
Because he's conscious, as you said, he's conscious about the Maya.
Correct. I am standing
in. We are not.
Yeah.
We are part of the Maya.
Correct.
So that makes the Ishvara spirit to us. Once we realize we are under Maya and we try to get out of it, we can go to that status or even beyond that. Is that
beyond that? Automatically it happens. You become Ishvara. It's as if you know that I am standing in front of the mirror anymore. So I am no longer deluded by the Maya. Then I'm either you can call it I'm Ishvara or I'm Brahman. It's more or less the same.
the other thing that I wanted to just say about that before that is that Sankhya Yoga, right, is different philosophy.
Sankhya is different. It's a dualistic philosophy.
That's why we get confused.
Correct.
It took me a long time to understand that. Anyway.
Sankhya, Yoga, all these things actually
we have 6 philosophies.
I know, but Sankhya and Yoga, Advaita takes a lot of those terms. And
That's
we
true.
use it very, very easily. Yeah, very liberally we use that. But really speaking, there is a problem in terms of differences that are there. Yoga, for example, talks about that Ashtanga yoga, and there is this one. Shankaracharya goes into great lengths in terms of defining the same term. He uses the same terms of dhyana, samadhi, etc., but he defines them in Advaita terms. Normally, we don't come across that. Even our Swamijis and all, they take it easy in terms of it. They said, okay, if you are really serious, you go to a guru, they will teach you these variations from Advaita perspective. But otherwise, they're more or less the same. Like you use the word of in Sankhya that Purusha and Prakriti. Very commonly we use that.
That was.
I know.
So it's like Purusha and Prakriti, and then one question, like when Meeraji, she went and, at that time, women were not supposed to be in the company of men. And one guru said that, why are you here? Because you are a female. And she said, I thought there's only one Purusha.
Correct.
Everyone is
Purusha.
female, apart from that Purusha. So that was her idea, how she, and that example actually Swamiji gave, that there is only one Purusha. So again, and Bhagavad Gita is also Advaita. So these terminologies that are really confusing.
Not necessary. For example, Bhagavad Gita, you say is Advaita.
Yes.
Correct?
Is it not?
For example, Ramanujacharya is a Visishta Advaita. Slight difference is there. Now, he also commented Bhagavad Gita, and to him, Bhagavad Gita is Visishta Advaita. Madhavacharya, pure Dvaitin.
Yes.
He commented on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is pure Dvaita. Adi Shankaracharya, Bhagavad Gita, as to what you believe, which makes sense to you. And if you accept, once you accept that after Mananam, after Shravanam and Mananam, if you decide that Advaita is the right one, which Chinmaya Swami believes, and we are all Chinmayas this one, so we are reading and following him. For us, Shankaracharya's perception of these terms, definition of these terms is the right one. I'm not telling that this is right, that is wrong. We need not go into whether why Ramanujacharya said that or why Madhavacharya said that. No point in going to all that. So for us, terms remain the same. What the explanation is slightly different. So for that, if you want to go into different details, Brahma Sutra, for example, goes into great lengths as to, and Adhyasa Bhashya of Shankaracharya, it is an explanation of Brahma Sutra. And not explanation of Brahma Sutra, is introduction to the explanation of Brahma Sutra. There is a very important concept of Adhyasa Bhashya by Shankaracharya. Now that gives you actually very deep insights into what Advaita philosophy of Shankaracharya is. This superimposition becomes a very, very important concept. And this verse 3 is one of those verses where Shankaracharya kind of depends on to explain this Advaita Veda. If you say that, for example, he says, suppose you say you read this verse 3, when we talk about verse 3, it says, Atmana Yesha Prano Jayate. If I take only that particular sentence, pretty clear that from Atman, Prana is born. So Prana and Atman are of equal reality. If I am born to my mother, mother and me have same sense of reality. If I leave it at that, I can completely different kind of explanations I will give to this entire concept. Shankaracharya says, but he says very clearly, Yathaisha Purushe Chaye. So immediately, why should Rishi say this is similar to a shadow to a man? So it depends upon what you are taking in the words that are given in the text.
So in the same way, the reflection is also in the body, depending on, or the mirror is actually the body, right? Because depending on the condition of the mirror, then the reflection will be different.
So For a Ishvara, mirror is Maya. For a Jiva, mirror is what you say is the bodies. Karana Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Stula Sharira. All three become mirrors in that sense. Each of them have got a reflection of the same consciousness or awareness, that principle that is there. Correct? All three are there. For a Jagat, which we are talking about, then it is inert by nature. So it cannot have any feelings associated, which we know at least in that sense. Yeah? But for us to understand Jiva, that too a human being, that's why in Vivek Chudamani, in the opening verses itself, ShankarJi says that Manava Jarma Durlabham. Very rarely you get such an opportunity to understand these concepts and overcome the ignorance that is associated. If you are, by unfortunate distance, if you are born as a mountain or a river, it's not possible for you to overcome this ignorance. So take full advantage of this life. He goes into great lengths in terms defining right at the front of Vivek Chudamani. I'm sure you all went through JG on that. So it's a question of don't waste time in terms of doing that. And how to do that is to understand that these three layers that are there of Karana Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Stula Sharira, we require to understand how this awareness principle is making it appear as if it is alive. Maybe it's a good time to introduce two more terms then. Yeah, maybe we are not progressing, but this I think is important. When we talk about Jiva and when we talk about these three layers or other terms of layers is the koshas that are there. Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, and Anandamaya kosha. So there is a koshas associated with as well. So either you go through koshas or you go through sariras, it is more or less the same. Reflection of the consciousness is what we are talking about. Mirror reflection that we talked about. So how do I differ? Because the reflection of Atma, when we talk about, when a Brahman or Ishvara stands in front of the reflection that we are talking about, whatever is the original is the reflection will be there. That's why we call it as reflection. Yeah, sun is there, pond is there, sun's reflection is there in the pond. Then sun is defined as per me either through a heat or you can do it through light. For example, it provides heat, it provides the light. When it reflects in the pond, the reflected sun also has got these same characteristics. Once the sun's reflection is there, pond becomes clear. In the night, you stand in front of the water, nothing you can see down. But the moment sun is reflecting in that, it's as if the reflected sun is also lighting up the pond. You can see the fish, you can see the stones, you can see the bottom, etc. But once we have, and also it heats up. The reflection appear to be heating up. Really speaking, reflection is not doing anything, that is doing. But we feel that reflection is actually one which is lighting up and reflection is the one which is heating up. Okay, so there is a same characteristics of the original appear to be there in the reflected ones. Similarly, the Atman is there. Atman, what we say is Satchit Ananda. Ananda. In terms of creation, Satchit Ananda, we talk about. Sat is the existential principle. So that existential principle reflects in us. Whether it is any of the three koshas that are there, existential principle is reflecting in you. Similarly, awareness and sentiency, consciousness principle of the Atman, it appears to be there in your mind, in your body. We know very clearly as human beings, my mind is sentient. I am very conscious. I don't have any problem in terms of identifying that. Similarly, my body is existing. My body is conscious. We have a problem in understanding happiness, but that is more of a technical, different discussion. Let us take this existence and consciousness principle. Our body appears to be existing. Our body appears to be sentient, conscious. But we say, okay, once I go into dream state, deep sleep state, I'm dropping my body. Body is no longer I is not directly associated with my body, I come to know through analysis. Okay. Now, when we talk about the powers that are there with Atman, Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Swarupini. Lalita Sahasranam talks about these three powers that are there with this particular Maya. Yeah. So Atman, we can talk about is a Brahman, or Atman can be individual in terms of Ishvara. So Ishvara also has got these three powers inherent in him. Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. Same three Shaktis are there in each one of us. We have a power to desire. Desiring is a power, really speaking. Otherwise, no action is possible. Yeah. Desiring is a power. Gaining knowledge. Jnana Shakti is a power. Kriya Shakti, taking action, is a power. Each one of them having this power. But what it says is, these three powers are not your powers. You are thinking that your mind is having these powers, but powers actually belongs to Atman. You are just getting a reflected power. And because of the ignorance, you are thinking that these three powers belong to my mind. And I get very proud. Ego is very high in terms of that. So when we talk about how to define these two, consciousness, which is there belonging to the Atman, we say consciousness, which includes all these three powers, etc., belongs to Atman, but we think it belongs to body, mind, and intellect. How do I say that what is my true nature? Is it this particular thing is belonging to me? Because I define myself in these terms. How do I define? I define myself as sentient. How do I know? Because once sentiency is gone, we quickly pack up. Doesn't take much time for us to really pack up that particular body, mind, so-called this one. So it goes away. So the entire thing is that this belongs to that. And if I'm defining myself as that, I must be Atman. I am not this body, mind complex. So how it can come? Only analysis. Because it is not possible. It is beyond my senses to grasp this. However, whole thing is in front of us. Really speaking, a little bit of analysis will tell that this cannot belong to my body, mind, and intellect. They belong to something else. That's what Atman is telling. So how do I define now a reflected sentiency vis-a-vis original sentiency? What they say is, if I, technical term again, Antakarana Visishta Chaitanyam becomes Jiva. Okay? Antakarana, because the Chaitanyam, the consciousness principle, is very evident in our mind rather than the body. How do I know? Because once I get up in the morning, first thing that lights up is my intellect. And then the body becomes sentient. It's as if the intellect and mind is kind of spreading the consciousness to the body associated. This is our experience in the our regular experience, day-to-day experience, really speaking. So, Antakaranam is the fourfold mind. Everybody is clear on that Antakaranam. So, Antakarana Visishta Chaitanya, a unique associated consciousness with Antakaranam is the Jiva. And Antakarana Upahita Chaitanyam becomes the Sakshi. Sakshi, or the associated Kutastha Chaitanyam. There are many associated. Say Atman in that sense. So how do I see this consciousness is a very important step in our sadhana. I gave a couple of examples last time. Yeah, I think suppose you want to distinguish four houses that are there associated. I said, if you associate the color of the wall, then if associate the consciousness becomes part and parcel of the inert body, mind, intellect. If it becomes part and parcel, I'm not seeing differentiation between these two, then it becomes Antakarana Visishta Chaitanya. So each Chaitanyam becomes unique to an individual, and that uniqueness is what is defining you, then that becomes a jiva. But if I am able to view myself as antakarana upahita chaitanya, means that particular antakaranam for the three bodies that are there, this consciousness actually is not part and parcel of these three layers, but it is only a outside one reflecting as if it is part of this. If I am able to do that, for example, again, 10 different buckets of water are there. Same sun is reflecting all the 10. If I become part and parcel of each sun, each one becomes Antakarana Visishta Chaitanya. So this is a 5-liter sun, this is a 2-liter sun, this is a 1-liter sun. We have distinctions associated. This sun is not good because the water is dirty. This is a very clear sun. So all Visishta, uniqueness is there with each of these suns inside each one of these buckets that are there. However, if I say, no, this sun has nothing to do with this water, sun is the one which is there, I just have to turn my head up and there is a variation, there is a difference. It's easy for us to understand sun, water example, because I can just look up and see the sun. How do I look up myself inside? But as long as you have conceptually this concept of separating the inert layers and what gives sentiency to it and define myself to something which is outside. Again, example of the same house, I mentioned crow. A crow sitting on that is what distinguishing this. If I view myself, my consciousness as a crow sitting on me, only lighting up and distinguishing me, that becomes Antakarana Upahita Chaitanya. Body, that house becomes only a Upakarana, Upadhi, and crow is the one which is distinguishing this Upadhi.
And that crow is Sakshi.
That crow becomes, we become Sakshi in that sense, because that crow is outside. It has nothing to do with this body. Tomorrow it will fly away. Tomorrow you may not even see this one crow sitting there. Not by tomorrow, even today it will run away. Yeah. So if I'm able to view that, my problem is that crow never goes away. Jiva experientially crow never goes away. And mind, that's why appears 100% time sentient. Whenever you are awake, you appear sentient. Because the crow is not flying away. However, you should not think that it became part and parcel. It's not the color of the house. It still remains a crow. And if I'm able to identify the crow and separate it out with the body, knowing fully well the crow is not going to run away, that becomes your sadhana.
It's not going to run away, that becomes your sin. So mentally keep attaching that crow even though it's gone. And you
No, you separate it out from your body. That is sadhana. House is not directly linked to crow, is how your sadhana should proceed. Means your own consciousness sentiency that I'm feeling in my mind body as part and parcel of mind body is not really part and parcel of your mind body. It is a separate existence. It is
outside.
Only it is lighting you up and you are thinking it is me. That's why they say, if you want to reduce the ego, this is a very important aspect that you require to bring in. Sun is there. One particular pot is dirty water, other is clear water. I am in this life, for example, I am fortunate to have a clear water. As my body, mind, intellect, I feel I am very intelligent. Any power that is given to you, you can dance, you can sing, you can do special powers that are there, nothing to do with you. You are just a water. And everything is getting lighted up by that particular sentiency. If you are able to distinguish between I am that, then whether a person is dull or whether he is very intelligent, it really doesn't matter. In this life, you have been given this water. Next time you may be that other water with your prarabdha karma. You never know. Once that is there, ego is no longer there with you. I hope you got it. Don't get carried away with the crow.
I just need
examples
to
only.
understand that.
Yeah, it's just a.
I better not fly away with the crow now.
Okay. One last concept on that particular, this one is what all we talked about is one-to-one. Atman is there, Atman is reflecting, etc. Again, don't get carried away with this example. It is not one-to-one relation. It is like, that Bruce Lee walking into mirror room in that famous movie, where he walks into that, there are 1,000 Bruce Lees around him. Yeah. So it is one Atman, not reflecting in one-to-one, but it is reflecting in multiple so-called jivas. So it is not that I am one, so my Atma is different. Okay, my crow is different, that crow is different, this crow is no, one crow reflecting in all the houses. Yeah. So it is the same one, but however we feel that my Atman is individual, not like that. Yeah. So it is one Atman reflecting in millions or countless of jivas that make up, appear as if so many jivas are there. So what we saw is that prana is prana is like shadow to a man. Atma, prana is born out of, but that so-called born is just like a shadow coming out of the man, human being, I can say. Yeah, man is what is told here, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Few of the important things we discussed last time about this. For a shadow, there is no effort or will required. Sometimes we think that Brahman is taking a lot of effort to create me. Really speaking, for creating this one, only condition is required. Light should be there, and automatically, and you should be out in the light, and automatically it gets created, so to say. No effort is required as far as creation to manifest itself. Shadow just manifests moment the conditions are there. Shadow has not reality of its own. We keep talking about reality of its own, is that shadow doesn't have reality of its own. If man is not there, human being is not there, tree is not there, pole is not there, there is no shadow associated. Yeah. So it doesn't have reality of its own in that sense. By the mere presence of that particular Atman. Atman in this particular case, we can take it as light, we can take it as the object, doesn't matter how you define that. By the mere presence, this gets created. No effort is required, it automatically gets created. In mere presence of a human being, shadow gets created. Atman is the light, Maya is the object. Take it that way. Okay? Atman is the light, Maya is the object.
What is shadow?
Shadow is the prana. Whole definition is that we are doing it. Yeah. Object is not reduced in any way when shadow gets created. There is no parinamavad. Man remains same, object remains same, shadow gets created. Children may get even afraid of shadows. There are so many videos on YouTube if you see. Yeah. Really speak, but there is nothing, no reality, neither any reduction. It remains the same as well. Prana is only a reflected reality and gets manifested because of the very nature of that awareness principle that is there in the Atma. Think of it from that perspective. Okay. All right. Any further questions on this? Because it's very important concepts that are given in this verse as far as Advaita Vedanta is concerned. Again, if you read from Ramanujacharya, you may have a different version of commentary. Shankaracharya's and our Gurudev's, this one is what we are looking at. Yeah. Okay. If we are through, then we will go into the next verse. Yeah. Yatha samrad. Sorry. Yatha samradeva. Samrat. Yeah, Samrat. Actually, Samrat is the emperor. Yeah. Samrat. Okay, correct. Yatha samradeva. Dhikritan viniyukte etat graman etan graman adhitishtasva ityeva evaisha prana itaran pranan Pruthak Pruthageva Sannidhatte. Okay. Yatha, always as. Samrat, an emperor, Eva, just like that. Adhikrutan, he appoints officers. Adhikrutan, Adhikari is the officers that are there. So collectors and others in the modern day terms that we talk about. They get Viniyuktan. He gives orders. They are given orders to be, you are from today a collector, like that. He is given that. Ethan, these Graman, villages, these Gramam, these villages, Adhishtisva, he says, you go reside in that particular Grama. So king says that you are now collector of Hyderabad. So you go and stay in Hyderabad and you do my work in that particular area. So prime minister or somebody will give that particular order, let us say, in the latest terms that we talk about. Similarly, emperor used to say that, okay, you in that particular village or city, you go there, stay there, and you do the work associated. That is how the work of administration goes. So he says, Evam verily, Eshaha, this chief prana, this prana who is there, Itara prana. So it says that other pranas, this prana will now says, you go and stay with this particular place and you do my activity associated with that particular Pruthak. But normally what happens if a collector of one particular powers, and if another collector is there in a different province, he will also have similar powers. Yeah. So he says there is a small difference here. Pruthak. Each one appears to be having a separate, unique powers. So upapranas are there. Basically what he is trying to say is, this main chief prana which is there is now going to appoint some sub-pranas and who will have unique powers and unique places more prevalent. And they will do their job. Prana's job is getting done through upapranas. That is how the explanation is being given here. Samrat here is Prana, not Atma. See, there are few questions. Yeah. See, what it says is, if you go back to the question, why suddenly Rishi is talking about Upapranas and staying there, etc. He is answering Kaushalya. Kaushalya, Ashwalayana. Remember those names, yeah? So he has asked 6 questions to start with. He says, from where this prana is born? So it's born from Atma. Mentioned. Second question is, how does he enter the body? Because of the mind, he enters the body. The answer was given, I think, the last this one. It says, Manokrutena, we did not discuss now, but last class we have done that. Manokrutena, by actions of the mind, it enters the body. How mind it enters the body, really speaking? Because mind is the one which actually desire is there, action is there. Because of action, samskaras come, vasanas. So you have karma, the entire theory that goes. So it's as if because of the mind, this prana is entering the body individually. So that is what he answered in the verse 3. Now, next question that he asked is, how does he dwell by dividing himself? Now he is answering the third question. How does he dwell by dividing? Dwelling automatically includes that he is residing. So now he is talking about 5 different pranas. Prana, apana, samana, vyana, and udana. So he's talking about these 5 pranas, and actually there are 5 more upapranas they talk about. Doesn't matter. We will not talk about. When it comes, we will talk about them. Here he is telling in the fourth verse, he is telling that that main prana dwells in specific places in your body, although they are there everywhere. For example, we say mind up of sattva guna, of the tanmatra. We are talking about mind is made up of sattva guna, prana is made of rajoguna, body is made up of tamoguna, for example. But that doesn't mean that other gunas are not there. All three gunas are there everywhere. But once we say that apana dwells at a particular place, doesn't mean apana is not there at other places, but it is more evident at that particular place, let us say. Yeah? So he is going to explain as to where they are, etc. And in this verse, he did not talk about apana, vyana, samana, etc. But in the next few verses, he will start talking about that as well. Yeah? Here he is telling, but they have pratak pratak. Pratak pratak means what? Separate, unique. Yeah, separate, unique functions they seem to be doing, but they are all doing on behalf of the chief prana. Chief prana is the one divide itself and ask them to stay at these particular places and do a pratak pratak. Unique powers they seem to be having, and unique activities they seem to be doing. Yeah? So I think it's okay. It's a very simple verse in terms of understanding what the concept is, so to say. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, clarification. In the explanation below, it's saying ego, and then it's saying prana.
So prana has got prana is a very unique concept which is there. So it is born out of the Atman, so to say. Yeah.
Yes.
So it doesn't have a unique aspect of it, but because of this prana, everything becomes kind of they get enlivened, so to say. Yeah. So each one appears to be prana by itself. So like sun is there, whatever it is getting reflected also has got similar properties. So everything is called prana in that sense. So,
no, I'm just thinking because up till now, what we studied was prana. So all this five senses revolted and prana was the adhikari. Yeah.
adhikari, yeah.
But now prana is being equated to ego, which is different.
It may appear to be different, but if you see the ego itself, like we say, Prajapati is there, then Prajapati appeared as sun, example wise. Yeah. So Prajapati, sun becomes Prajapati in that sense. Sun is Prajapati, sun is Hiranyagarbha.
Prajapati is prana or Surya and Rai. So we have two.
Rai is
so
Chandra.
Rai is also there.
Correct. Yeah.
So now what is happening? Maybe I'm just. Okay.
It is similar to, we are telling Dehatma. How Deha become Atma. Atma is that original one, but Deha becomes Atma. And you, in some of the verses, it says Atma. Then it is somebody like ShankarJi will come and says, here Atma means Deha. We say Buddhi. Actually, it is not Buddhi, it is so and so. Each term appears to be the same because it is nothing but manifestation of that. So prana manifests ego. Ego is something which is manifested by prana. So ego becomes prana in that sense. Okay.
Ego is aham, no?
Aham. Ahankara.
But also ahankara comes from aham.
Aham, the feeling of I-ness.
Then only I.
I is what? Atma. Atma is what? Prana.
Okay, so I want to go back and I want to just make a flow chart.
Sure.
So, yeah, just for my own understanding. So Atma, then Prana, Ahankara or Aham.
Antakaranam. You can say Antakaranam. So your Aham becomes Prana, your intellect becomes Prana, your mind becomes Prana, your Chitta becomes Prana. Because all of them are nothing but Prana.
Yeah, they're all Antakarana. Yeah.
All of them are Prana, really speaking, not only your Ahankara. In the sense, without that Prana, none of them can function.
They're not possible even. Yeah.
And they're not manifested, they are not functional. Not only this antakarana, prana also equivalent to your senses.
Yes. That we
Indriya, all 10 indriyas, you can say prana. Chakshindriya, what we call chakshindriya, becomes a prana, because without prana, your eye cannot function in that sense. So manifested thing is nothing but the original. Take it that way.
But did you say that so antakarna is mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar is also in there, and that is but prana is rajoguna, dominant, not exclusive,
correct.
but dominant, rajoguna. So antarkarna, that way, can we say it is dominant rajoguna?
A difficult thing to say, because again, if you take into account, antakarana is part and parcel or this ego is part and parcel of your intellectual sheet. If you take it from that particular way, manaha or antakaranam is actually not rajoguna, it is part and parcel of sattvaguna, because it has got a knowledge associated with that, it becomes sattvaguna. But that sattvaguna gets enlightened because of the prana, which is rajoguna.
But that seems opposite, should not. It
Appears
should be
like
the other
that.
way around.
Yeah, appears like that. That's why prana becomes a problem. See, these contradictions are deliberately built into any creation theory. I'm making a statement.
Why?
Deliberately built into that, because you have to understand Maya.
You have to get it.
You have to understand Maya. Contradiction is part and parcel of Maya. Moment these questions come, you recognize there is no reality associated with this. The whole of the creation theory is given and they say this is mithya. They want to prove it as mithya. You go into any of the stories that are given in Bhagavad Gita. Innumerable contradictions are built into each and every story. If you start thinking, that's why a person who doesn't believe in that, they read the story and say, what nonsense are you reading?
Right away.
It doesn't make it. But the whole concept of the story, whole concept of the creation, deliberate contradictions are introduced by rishis so that this question will come from your mind. Why is he doing that? Shraddha becomes important from that perspective. Only if I have Shraddha, what he is telling is to my good and what he is telling is true, that becomes Shraddha. I will arrive at the correct conclusion that Atman is the only reality. Contradictions become part and parcel. If you start questioning, that's why an atheist can easily debunk the theories associated with a theist. Very, very easily. That's why very few people are in this. Because to mind it appears completely
Nonsense.
yeah.
Just go to the mall.
Go into details. But thing is, once you have Shraddha, you will see that these contradictions are built in deliberately to overcome all this. Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe?
It's beautiful.
Okay. We will read the 5th verse and then we can stop possibly. Yeah. Actually, I thought I will complete at least 6 or 7 today. But anyway.
Sorry for disrupting the
No. It's very important. We're not worried. We are the same class that is going on. Yeah. Okay. Payupasthe panam.
Payupasthe panam.
Chakshuhu. Stotre. Mukhanasikaabhyam. Pranah swayam. Pratisthate. Madhye. Tu samanah. Esha hyetat. Dhutam annam. Samam nayati. Tasmat eta. Sapta archisho. Bhavanti. And it goes into the, now we started talking about what are these upapranas or pranas that are dwelling and where they are dwelling. We'll go into all this in this particular verse. So the term apan, sir.
Logic is that doesn't come up. Entertainment is taken away from Ankara. It subsides, but then not only subsides, it is no longer there. Shifts happen
Within.
at the physical and the intellect. It is part of this Ankara. So that's something that can be grasped is that what we call this prana is breath. It shifts from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic. This is all because Ankara is not there. This is all effortless. So then when this happens, then what Dantian, very, very subtle. That's all is there. And there may be the remnants of the last thought dissipating. Then is entered into silence. This is there. And then with the sound does not arise with silence. And then there is another right next to there is stillness. So
Not there.
and then beyond that is it's not talk about like entering void.
Oh my.
No.
No, it's difficult to explain what Dharamji. Difficult to explain is what you are trying to say. Yeah, this is the actual experience that you are defining.
The ability of the functions
They subside.
so it's
Okay, it's okay.
That's
Dharamji.
good.
Dharamji,
think
it's
you
okay.
should
You are
relax.
actually talking about the actual experience of how that sadhana will lead in terms of internal experience that we are talking about. Yeah, that is still slightly far away from the group as such. So we will discuss this maybe a little later.
He's getting,
Yeah. Very, very difficult to explain actually these terms. Another important thing that we are talking about, why ShankarJi talks about in Dakshinamurti Stotram, where Guru comes in, we talk about Mauna Vyaksha Prakatita. The moment any words we are trying to use to explain these experiences, or even the concept of Atman itself, words become a very heavy burden for us to really go into details of either experience or understanding. That's why these are called transcendental. When we talk about this knowledge, becomes transcendental because it is beyond the expression. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvana. Absolutely, you're right. Yeah. Okay, we will stop here. I am actually going to India on 3rd of May. Yeah? But Abhimanyuji agreed that he will get a laptop here and I will join you. And it will be a remote class from for you, it will be still a class like
And you
this
will
only
have
going
time.
on.
What time it will be?
Same
in
time,
India?
we will maintain the same time, no problem. Sunday evening,
Late
my time,
for you.
Sunday morning, your time, we will continue the same this one. Manjula ji also will join. So we will have the same class, but we will be remotely
So
present
you
here.
are going for 1 month?
2 months at least. We are hopefully I'll be back by July. And I don't know what is the normal practice, Miniji, when Balvihar closes, we close, or
Yeah.
normally we close. So we'll see. Maybe in June anyway, we will close.
June 11th is the last day for Balvihar.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So
So
the term.
maybe
Month
3-4
of May.
classes we will have remotely,
4
and then we will
classes, yeah.
continue after. By that time, we will be
Take a
back.
break.
All right.
ShankarJi, will they still be recorded?
We will be recording. I will be recording because the same, this one we will use, Zoom we will use.
I'm also not here for the next 2 weeks.
I will start posting from now on like I did last time. Yeah. So that we can. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. We should actually start some meditation classes.
I think that's good.